All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball. Got a good, what we got, like four pieces of news.
Four. We
Obviously,
got four total ones for
in the
today.
morning, we kind of, early morning, we got a big news piece. So we're just gonna kind of just group them together. No point in making a video by video. So, Christian, I guess I'll let you just kick us off here.
Yes, we got four. Like you said, we got four big, important topics to talk about. So obviously, let's kick right off with Mike Evans finally getting the deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a 2-year, $52 million dollar deal with I think some, a couple hundred thousand in some incentives, if I'm not wrong. But finally, the done deal's finally there. It was expected this offseason, especially with the great chemistry he got with
Well,
Baker
it wasn't
Mayfield.
expected ever since last offseason. It
Yeah.
looked like it wasn't even gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I had some doubts with Mike Evans probably, having a little, decline with Baker at quarterback, but Baker just stepped up and the connection with Evans, it was looking right then and there. Obviously, come playoff time, his drops were a little crucial, but got himself a win, so that's really all that matters, at least for the most part for the Bucks and their standards. But they got the deal done with Mike Evans, 2 years, so another 2 year with Mike Evans, arguably the most consistent receiver in the league. So, all it just left is, hopefully the Bucks resign or, resign Baker to an extension and that chemistry could continue going for the Buccaneers.
Yeah, you would hope they can sign Baker, but obviously we were talking a lot about this. News are coming out about Antoine Winfield. He might be getting was it 3 to 4 year deal.
Yeah.
He wants $20 million a year. So add that money into the cap. What situations Baker gonna have to get into, and we know he already said himself he's not gonna take no hometown discount to stay in Tampa Bay. So he obviously wants to be paid handsomely. He had a prove a deal in Tampa, and he proved himself. So I mean, he wants to be paid like a top starter, and we kind of say, if he ends up leaving, I mean, what situation could end up happening for Tampa? Could they draft a quarterback? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. But I see moving on, another little contract tidbit with L'Jarius Sneed. Obviously, this news is kind of, I guess you
It's
could
been
call it old
expected.
news in a way.
Yeah.
It was reported since a week or two ago the Chiefs were going to tag him. There's obviously that possibility he could be traded. We know the Falcons are a team that's really interested. I know you want the Cowboys to maybe make a run at him, but regardless, it's finally been official. He is going to be getting the franchise tag. Still that possibility, maybe he can get a long-term deal, but if nothing ends up happening, he is very much viable in the trade market.
Yeah, it was obviously expected with a Winfield after like you said a week or two ago. Yeah, I mean, my fault. Sneed. Yeah, so it was obviously expected that the Chiefs were obviously going to try and retain his best part, but obviously there's always up for a trade, and I'm begging Jerry. Obviously him saying he's all in this offseason hasn't done the front office hasn't done anything. So obviously even come draft night or even before draft night, if he can possibly get Sneed, but that's obviously a first round pick. Who knows? But really, really down and just feeding into more and more of my delusions. Now, moving aside from, contract extensions, let's move to one of the bigger parts now, which is Russell Wilson finally getting released by the Denver Broncos. Now, this one, once again, this was expected coming out early on season, especially with the whole drama coming in late October, saying if Wilson didn't get benched, they would obviously, I think it was something about his contract, right? That they wouldn't pay him fully guaranteed.
He didn't forego his injury guarantees, which obviously,
Yeah.
he's not going to do that. He said that himself.
Yeah, and obviously, Wilson, I said it before in the preseason that Wilson was gonna have a better season that he was gonna have from the following season, and he did. He deserved every that from that season. Obviously, just stuff didn't go right for the Broncos. The defense had a huge decline. A lot more pressure was on Wilson, but he played phenomenally better. And just from that front office with what John Elway was doing with him, it was really unacceptable. And I know a lot of trade, possible targets for Wilson. I know some top spots would be the Raiders and the Steelers. I would say more fitting in with, probably the Raiders, since they are a quarterback away from all their improvements they've been doing. But I go with the Steelers if they're not, high on Mitchell
Russell really the
Trubisky.
quarterback that is going to put them over the top? I mean, I'm not going to compare him to Jimmy Garoppolo, but at the same time, they're.
I mean, it's still a big. It's still a big. It's still a big
step up
from
it's
Jimmy
a step
Garoppolo.
up.
It is a big step up.
I can't really say that Russ would be the guy to make them contenders. I honestly expect him probably be going to the Steelers. I mean, this is something that we'll probably go in depth on in a future video, but I mean, I don't know how heavy the market is going to be for Russ. I mean, we saw there's people saying, they probably want him to just be a bridge quarterback or even a backup mentor to one of these guys that's going to come in this draft. I saw a lot of people saying maybe he goes to New England, but I mean, regardless, it was a really just a tough fall from grace for him. Obviously, this fallout was just weird. Obviously, this was expected after. I mean, we saw he went on Brandon Marshall's podcast. He was saying, he hopes to end his career in Denver. Clearly, that was probably just to look good on camera. Regardless, at the end of the day, it's not going to happen. So, we'll move it into our last bit of information, which was pretty. Just a legendary player as a whole. I mean, Jason Kelce. Christian, I know you can put the rivalry aside for this one. Jason Kelce finally, officially this time, calling it quits. We know Adam Schefter, doing what he does. He prematurely called his retirement, as he said in the locker room that he told the guys that after that loss to Tampa in the wild card, he was gonna hang it up, and he wanted to do it on his own terms, on new heights. He told everyone it's not. I'm gonna take time to reflect on it. He knew he was retiring. Everyone knew he was retiring, but he wanted to stick it to Shefty, and he wanted to do it himself. So I mean, regardless, nothing but respect from us. I mean, just arguably the greatest center of all time. Just obviously got to know a lot more about him ever since obviously the bromance and everything with his brother Travis. But regardless, just it is sad to see his career come to an end.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, rivalry aside, I always really liked Jason Kelce, especially from the Eagles. He was one of the couple Eagles players that I actually enjoyed. He wasn't a dirty player and all that. Grew more fond of him after this, watching his New Height podcast even more with Travis. So obviously, I guess not even an argument. He probably is the greatest center in history. The argument is there, but obviously, without a doubt, he is a Hall of Famer, and hopefully sooner than a couple years from now, he's going to be in canon.
13 years, just a hell of a career. Obviously, much respect to him, but that's obviously gonna do it for us here. I'll see what we end up calling this video. Just grouping up a pretty busy day in news. We're gonna try to actually get these videos, a one-off. But hey, if it's a busy day, once we come back from class, we'll just group them all together. And obviously, we can see it right here. Once again, a brand new graphic factory. We're kind of going through a little identity crisis, but I think this one's probably is going to stay. Move forward. I mean, I already told you, I wasn't really feeling what we had going on. Kind of, make the editing a little easier on me. But regardless, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you like and subscribe. We'll see you back for more off-season news.